The true power of the warrior isn't in his weapon, his eyes, or even his strength. The true power of the warrior is held in his ability to perceive the environment spontaneously as it manifests all around him. This principle is partially responsible for the creation of the Sharingan, Byakugan, Rinnegan, and other dojutsu eye techniques in the series Naruto. Sight, then, for all it allows us to see and how we in the everyday person have come to depend upon it, contains a fundamental weakness. It works by the process of reduction and depends on deduction for it to be complete. Thus, the eyes can be deceived. Like a meeting of many streams forming into a flowing river, perception gathers greater and greater understanding of the present moment by gleaning what has transpired before it, and shortly after, seeing what is yet to come. It is here one may act, quote, before one's environment, end quote, and enter the void of nothingness to intercept or forestall the enemy's action before it can even be brought to bear against you. This power to transcend the present, even if for an instant, in Budo as a whole, is called kin no sen, or forestalling the opponent. The art of war states, and I quote, "Those skilled in battle win first, then go forth into battle. Those otherwise compromised go into battle first, then seek to win." End quote. The principle is the same here. When one can pierce their opponent with their eyes and defeat the enemy in the void, the conflict moving forward is a matter of ceremony. The opponent continues on, but is oblivious to the fact that it's already over. Side note. This is the origin of the meme, "Omae mo shindeiru," or "You're already dead." End side note. If we presume that the object of war is to impose your will on another by whatever means available to you with the intention of leaving them disarmed, then your objective must be to defeat your opponent before the fighting can even begin. It is in this way that perception, and thus kin no sen, should be paramount in conflict, be it on the macro or be it on the micro scale. Saiminjutsu, or genjutsu, as discussed in the previous scroll, depends heavily on the idea of illusion. Illusion, as we understand it in the lower teachings of ninjutsu, is ultimately the manipulation of the environment to offer a false conclusion about a thing. It can be applied in many ways, but the objective is to provide information to the eyes that lead to a specific intended outcome. This can also be called subterfuge. What defeats this is the complete opposite. To do so, you must first go beyond your sight, go beyond the present moment, and perceive instead the subconscious origin of all that is around you. This culmination of enlightenment occurs in an instant, and your eyes can then pierce through any illusion. This comes with experience, concentration, and the correct mind state. It is here that the fog of war is cleared, and the path to your objectives can be traveled unfettered. This is a good time to explain then the four minds. Shoshi, the beginner mind. All people begin here. It emulates true freedom, but is uninitiated in technique and the ways of strategy. Thus, it is freedom born from not knowing. Mushin, the empty mind. This is the true state of the void, the nothingness from which all things spill forward spontaneously. Its kanji, mu, implies this understanding. Modern psychology calls this flow, and it is here that kin no sen is often executed. Zanshin, a lingering mind. This is the continued state of awareness that does not let up, not even for an instant, not in sleep, especially not in conflict. It is the presence of the warrior, and the imprint one leaves on the fabric of the universe. It lingers whether you travel the world or remain completely still. Fudoshin, the immovable mind. This is the utter and absolute resolution of the mind and will. This will be reviewed in another scroll, as it is critical to understanding the Black God of War recognized in the East as an aggregate, Fudo Myo. These, in total, are the 4 minds. Therefore, when Mushin as a state of mind is realized, the enemy can be cut down without thought, leaving no space for hesitation. Having done so, the lingering mind of Zanshin takes place, and awareness of the change of the environment is perceived in one's entire body. In a macro sense, this is called tactics, but when expanded to the greater macro conversation of war, it is called strategy. Just as you can be forestalled with the sword on the battlefield, so too can your enemies on the bigger stage be forestalled just the same. They are a macrocosm, and the way of strategy deals heavily with this concept. This week, we'll be going over the topic in greater detail as it pertains to the sphere as an aggregate, and begin to highlight the need to not spend so much time on what one sees, but focus far more on what is perceived instead. There is a critical nuance here, and if we fail to recognize this, we may find ourselves in position yet again to be forestalled by our opponents. This has been the Nameless Protagonist. Os.